Did you know that when it comes to career success, people with average IQs outperform people with high IQs 70% of the time? And did you know that you can't really develop your IQ, but that you can develop the trait that's really necessary for success? The trait you need to develop is your EQ, or your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is your skill to recognize, understand and control emotions. The author Daniel Goleman, who is a psychologist trained from Harvard, states in his book that EQ is the single most important factor to predict life success, that it has zero correlation with IQ and is the strongest driver of leadership and personal excellence. A very interesting Forbes article also states, quote, "Of all the people we've studied at work, we found that 90% of top performers are also high in emotional intelligence. On the flip side, just 20% of bottom performers are high in emotional intelligence. You can be a top performer without emotional intelligence, but the chances are slim. Naturally, people with a high degree of emotional intelligence make more money, an average of $29,000 more per year than people with a low degree of emotional intelligence. The link between emotional intelligence and earnings is so direct that every point increase in emotional intelligence adds $1,300 to an annual salary. These findings hold true for people in all industries, at all levels in every region of the world. We haven't yet been able to find a job in which performance and pay aren't tied closely to emotional intelligence." End quote. And despite that we humans figured out what the single most important skill for success is, there seems to be not a single school that teaches this skill. So I guess emotional intelligence is one of the things we have to teach ourselves. At first, I want to explain to you Goleman's theory so that you will understand what emotional intelligence is all about. After that, I will give you a couple of powerful tools he recommends, so that you can really develop your EQ and maybe get an advantage in life. So what exactly is EQ? According to the author, emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize and understand emotions in yourself and others, and your ability to use this awareness to manage your behavior and relationships. For a better understanding of what EQ is, let's take a look at Goleman's famous EQ framework. It is about the self and the social. Self is about how you manage yourself, and the social is about how you handle relationships. And there are two levels for the self and the social. The first level is awareness. This is about who you are and getting what actually happens. And the second level is about regulation or management. This is about what you should do. So let's start and take a look at each frame. The first frame is about self-awareness. This is about recognizing your emotions. If someone with a low EQ gets angry or sad, they won't look at why they are feeling this emotion. They usually will blame someone else. Angry individuals with low EQs often become bullies, and sad individuals with low EQs often become depressed. The second frame is self-management. An angry person with a low EQ will shout at other people, curse a lot, maybe start a fight, and will find more and more reasons to stay angry and justify their behavior. A sad person with a low EQ will also try to stay in their mood. They will listen to sad music or redirect their emotions in a self-destructive way. And the third frame is social awareness. This is a skill to treat people according to their emotional reactions. A person with a low EQ won't be able to see and read all the social cues and micro behaviors of others. They don't understand what it means that we humans are evolved as social creatures. They will feel like a leaf in the wind, and sometimes others will take advantage of them. Because they are not aware of what is happening and why, and therefore will go with whatever others want them to do. The fourth frame is social skills. This is about managing relationships, finding common ground and building rapport. A person with a low EQ will often have problems to find friends or like-minded people. They will have problems to get their point across in conversations, will often feel misunderstood and will have difficulties finding a partner. They will blame it on superficial things like their looks or not having enough money. If they have a very low EQ, they will just think that people in general are mean and cold. If on the other hand a person with a high EQ gets angry or sad, they will watch themselves like a hawk and will try to understand why they are feeling that way. A high EQ person wants to know what is pushing their buttons and why, and they will make it their task to get better. A high EQ person knows that this is about themselves and not about another person. They will try to manage their emotions according to the situation. They usually take action and try to resolve their inner conflicts. and they will learn what pushes their buttons. Moreover, a high EQ person usually won't avoid these situations. They will sometimes welcome them and lean into them to learn even more about themselves. If someone with a high EQ gets angry, they usually try to redirect it in a way that is serving them, like working out, and if they get sad, they will try to meet people that cheer them up. In social situations, a person with a high EQ will not only take a look at the words of another person, because they know that this is just a superficial layer and most likely not what's really going on. They will try to put these words into a context and will try to read between the lines. While in a social setting, a high EQ person will ask themselves questions like, is the other person nervous or anxious, and why? Is the other person just telling this to cover something up? But also things like, if the other person likes X, it is most likely that they also like Y. Let's talk to them about this topic and befriend them. And lastly, a high EQ person will not only try to read between the lines, they will also try to use their insights, adapt if necessary, and they will try to find a win-win situation. And if another person is nervous, they will ask questions like, what could I do right now to calm down the other person? High EQ persons will also try to find common ground. They usually don't try to brag to make another person like them. They will usually try to find things they have in common, share topics of interest and connect with another person because of commonalities and not because of envy. But they also use their insights to help other people, build great teams and also to get their point across when needed. So, how to improve your EQ? If you want to improve your self-awareness, try to quit treating your feelings as if they were good or bad. The rule is, judging your emotions prevents you from understanding them. Don't always run away from unpleasant emotions. If you lean into unpleasant emotions from time to time, you can learn a lot about yourself, which helps immensely with personal growth. Watch yourself like a hawk. Just take a step back and try to develop a more objective understanding of your emotions and your behaviors. And also, try to cultivate the pause. Studies have shown that there is a little gap between the stimulus and your response. Try to wait a second, try to find that pause and try to extend it and then choose your response. This can be very powerful. If you want to learn some more about this, just watch my video about Habit 1, Be Proactive, from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And another tip is, know who and what pushes your buttons. If you have a journal, write down what pushes your buttons each day. This helps a lot to understand your emotions and to become more aware of them the next time. And if you want to improve your self-management, try to count to 10 if things get out of hand. This is a basic self-management trick to get some time and re-engage your rational mind. And another really powerful tip most people don't use is, make your goals public. This enables you to harness the motivation of the expectations of others. And sometimes people will even try to help you to achieve your goals. Use an accountability system. People with high EQs do this a lot. Personally, I use a very simple but effective method I call artificial motivation, and I dedicated a whole video to it if you're interested. People with high EQs also take control of their self-talk. Try to talk positively to yourself. Most people don't do this. In one of my last videos I also talked about a very interesting study. In 2005, the National Science Foundation found that 80% of thoughts of most people are negative thoughts. So make sure to talk positively to yourself, and if you want to work on this some more, you can also try different visualization techniques. And if you want to improve your social awareness, learn about body language. And I really believe that this is the fastest way to improve your EQ. There are some great courses about this topic out there. And try to cultivate the skill of listening and understanding others. There is a video about this topic called Seek First to Understand and Then to Be Understood. Make sure to check it out if you're interested. And another great little trick is, have a back pocket question. Have an open-ended question ready that you can use if a conversation is dying. That way you can focus more on your social awareness and less on what do I say next. To improve your relationship management or your social skills, it is important to ask for feedback and learn from it. Most people don't do this. A person with a low EQ will get defensive, angry or just doesn't want to hear it. A person with a high EQ will usually try to learn from it and adjust their behavior. Also, explain your decisions to others and point out what's in it for them. The better you communicate this, the more likely they will support you. The next tip is to have an open door policy. Try to increase your accessibility to others. Have more interactions and try to learn from them. Many people with a low EQ have created behaviors to avoid contact, like being in a bad mood all the time, avoiding places where they could potentially meet others, or just putting on headphones so that it is less likely that someone talks to them. So guys, if you learned something, write me a comment, I would love to hear about it. Thanks a lot for watching guys, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and want some more videos like this one. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because that's the best way to not miss anything. Thanks for your time guys, thanks a lot for watching and see you on Minion No More.